Hello, my name is George Cairns, and in this video lesson we're going to look at how to use Digital Photo Professional 4 to counteract various lens related problems such as vignetted edges, distortion, and even the dreaded chromatic aberration. So let's kick off by downloading this start file. It's called Lens Start. It's a Canon RAW file, and if we scroll down to the bottom of the basic panel we can see this one was captured on a 70D. But the latest version of Digital Photo Professional 4 supports many more cameras in the January 2017 update, so you may find that it'll work with your camera now where it didn't before. Anyway, once you've got this into DPP4, click to select it and then go to View, and let's go to Edit Image window to take a closer look at our file and analyze some of the lens related problems that it might have. So to perform lens related corrections, we need to go to the tool palette and click on this icon up here. And then we can have a look in this handy sub window and magnify areas to spot problems such as color fringing. So we click to select this little target icon here, and we can choose 1:1 for 100%. And as you move around, you can see we've got a zoomed in view 100% on the pixels in the picture. And color fringing or chromatic aberration or color blurring can be spotted more noticeably towards the edge of the frame. So if I click here, and then we can sample this area in the sub window and zoom in to 1:2, you'll notice we've got a good example of color fringing with this green fringe on the right and this purple fringe on the left of the contrasting objects like the railing against the lighter sky. Now we can get rid of that by scrolling down here and turning on the chromatic aberration box like so, and that should shift the fringes a little bit and counteract them. And we can fine tune things as well. If we take the red and the blue slider down to 0, then you can see that the color fringing in the sub window box is much more noticeable. And then we can get rid of the red fringe by just sliding it and counteracting it like so. Grab the blue slider and drag that to the right as well to get rid of the bluey green fringe. And then this is a master slider. If we take that right down, you'll see the fringing more noticeably, and you can combine the red and blue sliders together to try and counteract things like so. Now this is one way of using post-production tools such as DPP4 to get rid of color fringing, but there is a better way by using the data from the actual lens itself. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So let's turn off chromatic aberration and let's use the digital lens optimizer, which at the moment is grayed out and it's saying there's no lens data attached. So to find the lens data, we need to click here, and that loads the add or remove lens data version 1.5.10. And that will give you a variety of categories to look through. You can turn some of these off if you're not using a macro lens. If you're not sure, just leave them on, because to find the lens that you actually used to take the photo, you just need to scroll down and look for it in bold. There we go, and you can see that is the lens selected there. So if we now click start, it's going to download that lens profile from the internet, and then this should change from lens data no to lens data yes once we've installed it into DPP4. And this will make a much better job at clobbering those color fringes than we can do using the chromatic aberration slider. So it's saying finished. Let's click OK, and now we have lens data yes. And the cool thing here is now when we turn on the digital lens optimizer, it's going to read the metadata concerning the lens, and it's going to counteract things much more effectively. Watch up here when I tick this box. Here we go, click. It's now applying a profile and it's counteracting the color fringing in a click, and it's doing that in an alternative way to the tools down here. In fact, you can see that the chromatic aberration box has been turned off now and grayed out because we're using a more effective way to get rid of color fringing, thanks to the digital lens optimizer. And you can also dial up or down the correction made by the digital lens optimizer. Let's take that right down, and you should see more fringing appear like so. Let's take that right up to 100, and that should counteract that in a more effective way. You might find you've gone a little bit too far, so we'll take it down more towards the middle here, and that should keep the color fringing at bay, or at least reduce its effect, as you can see when we turn it off and then back on again. Now you'll notice that we've still got the color blur box down here available, so we can tick that to get rid of other types of color related artifacts. And then let's talk a little bit about peripheral illumination. Now you'll notice that the peripheral illumination box has been ticked automatically, and that is enabling you to get a more evenly exposed photograph, because normally light entering the edge of the frame is different to light entering the center, and that can cause an uneven exposure or a vignetted edge, and that can create darker looking skies at the edge. Let's turn that off, and you should see the skies are darkening a little bit. Turn it on again, and the skies are now more evenly exposed. And we can take that down to 0, so you can see the original photograph. Take that right up to maximize the correction, and now when I tick the box, there's the original, slightly darker at the edges. Tick it again, turn it on, and there's the more evenly exposed sky. So that's counteracting vignetted edges in a click thanks to the Peripheral Illumination box. And that just helps you get more evenly exposed photos. Let's scroll down a little bit more and have a look at distortion, because most lenses at different settings will produce some distortion. You can have barreling, where the shot bulges outwards from the middle, or you can have pincushion distortion, where it seems to bulge inwards. Now, it's quite hard to tell if you're suffering from geometric distortion in your photograph until you apply the distortion correction. So let me tick the box, and you can see the image is changing slightly. Turn it off, and the image barrels outwards from the center. Turn it on again, and we're flattening the shot and creating less curving on the lines here. There's the before again, boing, it's bouncing outwards, and there's the corrected version. So it's subtle, but it's noticeable, and it helps you get a more true representation of your photograph's lines and counteracts any barreling or pincushion distortion. You can dial it down right to 0 so you can see the original, and then you can compromise with an adjustment there, because it does crop the edges slightly. You'll notice we're losing some of the railing here. If I take this all the way up to 100, or I can bring some of that back in by dragging it to the left. But I tend to take this to 100 to get rid of as much geometric distortion as I can. And finally, we've got this effect setting down here, and that's grayed out because that's only useful when you've got a fisheye lens, and it helps you counteract the more noticeable distortion produced by fisheye lenses. So that's how you perform lens corrections, by getting rid of chromatic aberration, counteracting geometric distortion, and also using lens profiles to help get a more accurate looking shot using the digital lens optimizer.